So I remember you told us when we met in the United States that there were some challenges when the Vishalakshi Mandap was being built. So the when you were made in charge, were the plans already drawn out, or was it a work in progress? So where did you pick it up?
So that is also a story in itself. I was the ashram manager, and the construction had started. I was involved, my inputs or whatever. I was there in the. It's not fair to say I had my inputs at that moment of time, but I was involved in those meetings when the plans were discussed with Gurudev. The architects were there, contractors were there, and Gurudev would, for certain things, he would say, talk to him, he will arrange. So what I realized, being the ashram manager, I had to provide for the logistics. If they want water, I will guide them to the borewell from where they can draw water for uh, construction. If they wanted a road, I would tell them, okay, from this place you make the road. If they wanted electricity, so arranging the permissions and getting that extra electricity. So all that little bit, the running around they will do, but how to do it, where to do it, that input was mine. Construction started, and the first month's bill came. Hmm. And uh, there were certain excavations which were done, and I immediately used my knowledge of trigonometry and all those things, and I said, this is three times the amount of actual excavation, so this is overcharged. So that is how i I did not know. They said you have to sign the bill and give it, so I said I cannot give it because according to me these calculations are not correct. I had no idea what to do with it, and I kept it with me. And after a few days, I think the people who were involved, the message went to Gurudev, and Gurudev called me, and I told Gurudev, I don't know what to do with it. I'm not going to sign a bill which has wrong calculations. So he said, is it so? I said, yes, Gurudev, and I can prove it. So he said, okay, then you correct the bill and only then pass the bill. But you have to check and pass the bill. So I said, okay, that length, breadth, height, all the various things came back into focus, and for everything I was calculating, and few months passed like that. And suddenly when the construction reached a certain level, Gurudev was in the ashram, and he observed a very glaring mistake. Right where the stage was, opposite the stage were three columns, uh, opposite the center of the stage. So he said, it's common sense, you cannot have just huge columns right in front of the center of the stage. So he started scolding the architect, he started scolding the contractor. You are so well this, and you should have idea, common sense that this is it. And I was standing by the side of Gurudev, okay, as a neutral person. Gurudev is scolding them and this, and I'm standing there. And suddenly he looks at me and he said, what were you doing? You were in charge, no? I said, what? I never thought I was in charge. I never knew also I was in charge. So for me, that was like, okay, now I have to learn civil engineering also. Now, length, breadth, height is no more than what there were codes also, M5342 concrete or this or that. So all those codes, like you remember, for chemical engineering also we had a handbook.
Ah,
So
yeah.
I bought the civil engineer's handbook, and then I started studying and seeing what it was all about and how it functions and what are the methods and all those things. So it was a learning experience, and exposure to IIT, to that handbook, made learning civil engineering uh, easy. Or
Yeah.
hmm.
Yeah, right. But what I say is that a chemical engineer can do anything. We can do controls, we can do construction, we can do rate processes, we can do absolute. So I think Gurudev had so much insight that he picked a chemical engineer and he says, okay, I'm going to get this guy because he can do it all. One fellow can do everything.
Yeah, I think at another world, in another level, he knew it. But I think that was like a Tina factor. There is no alternative. I was the only qualified. So
So
yeah,
out of
because of
all
that,
go ahead, go ahead.
then electrical engineering aspects came into, instrumentation aspects came into it, and we have air conditioners, and we designed our own air cooling system. So the mechanical engineering part also came, the airflows and all those things. Airflows is also chemical engineering topic, so it's So all those aspects came there. That was nice.
And then there was a story of the LED colors that were laid out. There was something you told us.
Yeah, not LED colors. It was like we were near to the completion of the building. About 3 or 4 months were left, and we had still not finalized the color of the building. Okay, and every time Gurudev would come and ask me, what is the color we should give the building? And I would say, Gurudev, white or off-white. And he would ask me why. So I will say, Gurudev, in the daytime, white and off-white will look good. And night time, because now different types of lights are coming, we can give it any color, the building any color. So on a white, off-white, it's easy to give any color to the building with lights. And then he will listen to me, and he said, no, I wanted pink. So I will say, okay,
pink?
Gurudev, pink,
pink,
like Sumeru Mandap, like
haan.
Sumeru Mandap pink. So I said, okay, Gurudev, if you say pink, pink. And like 2-3 days would pass, and again he will come and ask me, what do you think should be the color of the building? And I will say white or off-white, because he's asking my views. My view is white off-white. And
Right.
and again he will say, I wanted pink. And the moment he says pink, the boss is saying pink, I will make it pink. I have no issues. The boss is always right. So this continued for some time, and then he was going out for 15 days. It was only about 2.5 months left for the construction to complete. And I told Gurudev, you have to give me a color, otherwise I will not be able to complete the building. So he was on his way to the airport. He came to the building. He went around. He sat in the car, and then finally, I put my head into the car, and I said, Gurudev, when you come back in 15 days, 70% of this building is going to be pink. Okay, because that is what he has said again and again, pink, pink, pink. So he said, yeah, okay, done it, do it. And I said, Gurudev, final? Then he says, no, make it white off white. I said, final? I said, final, Gurudev? He said, yeah, make it final. Okay. So when he came back, 70-80% of the building was white off white. Other parts were also being painted and things were happening. And then if you go into the inside of the building, there are lotuses on the ceiling. So the lotuses we had not painted yet. And then he asked me, how are you going to paint? What color you're going to give the lotuses inside on the ceiling? I said, with the white off white, we can again play with lights and give them any color you want. He said, no, nothing doing. I listened to you for white off white for the entire building. This has to be pink, and you have to listen to me. I just folded my hands, In my mind, I'm telling you, Gurudev, if you still want the whole building pink, I will make it pink, no problem. But this is what it is.
That's such a nice story. Yeah. So I want to ask you, Prashant, who is a yogi? What or who is a yogi?
Yogi is someone who's totally in the present moment. That's all.
Yeah.
So I remember once Gurudev said, if there was ever a book for saints, handbook for saints, it will have only one rule. And that one rule is, there are no rules.
Yeah, that's so nice. So which means yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now, which means a yogi can be anywhere. The yogi could be living a city life, a yogi could be living an ashram life, a yogi could be living an ascetic's life in a Himalayas. It doesn't mean much. A yogi is a yogi is a yogi.
Yeah, that is what Krishna told Arjuna also, no? Yogastha Kuru Karmani, and he is talking about being in the state of yoga, fighting a battle. Now, if you see why a battle, a battle is the extreme form of you say worldly life that you get into to such an extent that you are ready to kill each other.
Right.
Is it?
Extreme. Yeah.
Yeah. All the others are other part of worldly life is business, your day-to-day life, and everything. But even in a battlefield, you can be established in the state of yoga. That is the beauty of Bhagavad Gita, that he's saying that, okay, you fight your battle, being established. So the rest of the life is anyway a yogi's life. You can lead a yogi's life and do whatever you want to do.
Right. So, from your point of view, you have seen like life in the ashram. You've also maybe gone to Rishikesh and seen these ascetics and monks, on the banks of the Ganga, etc. Do you see a difference, or for you is it all the same?
Yeah, Gurudev always says, no, it is difficult to judge anything from its package. You know, so what you see in Rishikesh or anywhere else is just a package. You still really don't know what is inside. Hmm. Inside the most clumsiest of person, inside the most repulsive of person, also might be a very wakeful yogi, and inside the most polished person also might be a yogi there. So we really can't judge a person from this, and that is what I have learned from Gurudev. He's totally non-judgmental with anyone and everyone. You know, all those worldly labels, he's a cheat or he's a fraud or he's this, he's that, it doesn't stick with him. He deals with everyone equally with that patience and love and care. And that is what I have also learned over a period of time. I might not be still at that level like he is, but yeah, that is where we have to be.
So